Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm Mark, this is Spiguyver Backpacking. Finally back out on the trail, and it feels really nice to be out here. It's a beautiful day, at least right now it's a beautiful day. We do have some storms possibly in the forecast for this afternoon and this evening and tomorrow and on Sunday. So I'm out here for 3 days. Got a 3-day weekend, and so I really wanted to take advantage of it. And so I am back on the Escarpment Trail up in the Catskills. This, if you remember, is the trail I came up to during the winter. Didn't have my crampons, didn't have my anything really to, no waterproof shoes, no waterproof boots. And so I ended up bailing about 5 to 6 miles in, starting the trail all over again, and we're gonna see how far we go. Got 3 days. It's 23-ish miles each way, 24 miles each way. So we're just gonna walk, and wherever we get to, we get to. It is dry out here, so there's water's gonna be an issue. So I'm carrying extra water right now, and anytime I find water, I'm gonna make sure that I camel up and get water. Lots of stuff to talk about. Why haven't I been on the trail? Why haven't I been posting videos? What's been going on in my life? Talk some gear stuff, and we'll talk some trip stuff. Got a couple of trips planned that I think you guys will want to hear about. So stick around, we'll be talking about that throughout this video. So let's go. So let's talk about what's been going on with me and why I haven't been posting, why I haven't been doing videos, why I haven't been around. And, you know, it's been no secret. I've made it no secret that I have suffered with mental illness and had issues there that have prevented me from being as happy and, you know, getting out and doing the things that I want to do sometimes. So one of the pieces that goes along with that is I've got pretty extreme social anxiety, to the point where even going and talking to friends or calling friends back is something that I have a lot of trouble doing. So I've started some medication. So after therapy, decided medication was probably what was right, and started medication. So first medication, after a couple of weeks, I was in a really deep depression. Wasn't going to the gym, wasn't doing anything. I was coming home from work and pretty much going straight to bed, sometimes sleeping like 17 hours. I mean, like a lot of sleep. So realized that one wasn't good for me. Went back to the doctor, got off that one, got on a new one. And I'd been on it about 2 weeks when, a little over 2 weeks, about almost 3 weeks ago, I went back to Oklahoma for 2 weeks. And I just wasn't feeling right. You know, I was getting sick a lot, and like headaches, migraines, just feeling like crap. And so after a few days of being there and noticing still things were actually trending towards being worse, I decided while I was home, you know, my wife could watch over me and see what was going on. I quit the medication, and so now I've been off of the medication for about 2 weeks, and I'm feeling much better. I go back to the doctor next week, and I'll probably get put on a new prescription just to try and deal with that anxiety. You know, with my job, having to do lots of presentations, get up in front of a lot of people. It's tough. It's really tough. So working on that, and yeah, I've not been going to the gym. You know, over the last 2 weeks, I've gone, I think, 5 times. I've made it to work out, which is a plus. I'm starting to get back into it, but I haven't been consistent, and it shows. I'm starting to pack on a little bit of weight, and I'm feeling out of shape. But I've got a couple of big trips coming up that I want to make sure I am in shape for. We'll talk about those down the road, but that's why I have not been posting, why I haven't been around. Really, the last trip I did was the one when Greg came out and we went to Harriman, so getting out this weekend, this is really good. That down there is the Hudson River, and it is beautiful out here. Absolutely beautiful. So this trail right here is both the Escarpment Trail and, during this section, the long path. So the long path also was a majority, or about half, of the Shawangunk Ridge Trail that we did during the winter. So it is a pretty cool trail that I definitely want to get out and explore more of. Like I mentioned before, it starts down at a subway station in New York City, and it goes all the way up into the Adirondacks, really close to where I grew up. So something I definitely want to check out. So I just stopped for a few minutes to get a drink, get something to eat, and just kind of rest for a few minutes. Been going pretty much nonstop, about 6 to 7 miles in right now. Got some pretty steep sections coming up. You know, looking back on the last time I was out here, I'm actually really glad that I had turned around when I did. The trail just kept getting icier as I was getting higher. I've come up in elevation quite a bit since leaving the the lake down there. It's crazy. The lake was completely frozen over last time I was here. It's beautiful. People out kayaking on it. It's just a big difference than the last time. But I've come up some really steep stuff, gained some elevation, and I've got some really steep stuff coming up. So glad that I turned around last time. I just heard some thunder. So I pulled up the radar, and while it's still sunny here, and there's no storms right here, not too far away, there are some pretty big thunderstorms building up. Just to the west of me, there's like 3 pockets of them, and then to the north, there's a big line of them, and then to the east, there's a line of them. They're moving kind of southeast, so it's the ones to the north that I think could impact me. Right now I'm on a climb. Well, right here it's flat, but I'm on the climb up to North Point and then on beyond North Point, and I'm just kind of concerned that, do I really want to be going higher if there's thunderstorms building in the area? So I may just kind of keep my eye out for a spot that looks like a great spot to camp, and at least set up until maybe everything blows through and I can get another couple of hours of hiking in after it blows through. But I don't think I want to go too much higher with thunderstorms rolling in. I was about 3/10 from North Point. Again, I was kind of contemplating whether or not I wanted to continue going uphill, knowing that there are storms in the area, and knowing that it's probably another 10 miles before I could take another offshoot to hit water. I came down the first trail that has water marked on it, and when I started getting to the point where the trail map actually shows water, it was just stagnant, nasty, green film over the top of it. So I've continued to come downhill until I've gotten here. And while it's not a huge flow, it's a whole lot better. And it looks pretty clean. So this is where I'm gonna get water. If you can see all the bugs here. There are so many bugs just flying around. I'm gonna get water and get out of here. So I found a really nice spot here and got set up. Got the tarp set up, then set up the hammock. I've got the tarp set up pretty high. It's amazing after using the Dutch bonded wide winter with doors, just how small my hammock gear DCF winter palace feels. It doesn't feel so much like a palace anymore. I do have it spread pretty wide, as you can see here, and I've also got it still pretty high and pretty wide so that I can still see out from the hammock. The bug net is an absolute must this weekend. The bugs are out in full force here in the Catskills. You stop for a minute and they're just swarming around you. I had to go off trail to talk to nature for a little while, if you know what I mean. And the amount of flies and bugs that were attracted and brought in was alarming. I mean, you saw when I went down to the water how many were there. Lots of bugs out right now. But thunder's been rolling in. I've been hearing more and more thunder. I was laying here, the sun was out, and now the sun has gone away and it's definitely gotten darker. Wind kind of died down, actually. It was really nice. You know, I was hot laying in here, having that breeze blow underneath me. Felt really good. But I think that the storm is going to fall right out over us and drop a little bit on us. So hopefully I'm set up good enough that I don't get wet. Well, the storm is definitely getting closer, but I did just have a visitor, ranger. So I thought I was far enough off the trail, but he let me know that I'm not 150 feet off the trail. And so I said, okay, when this passes by, I'll take this down and either move it further off or head up the trail. Since I've got water, I may do that. I may just wait a little while, wait for this to pass, and once it clears up, head up the trail a little bit, try and get a couple of extra miles in today. Yeah, it's getting close. Definitely going to be a little stormy. All right, so storm went through. It must have been just a little bit beside me. Lots of thunder, saw lots of lightning, no rain. So that's cool. Rolled up my tarp, put everything else away, and I'm headed back up the trail. Probably go, I don't know, another hour, maybe grab something to eat, see where I am, and then keep going. Kind of depends on what I'm feeling like. I can tell you that after sitting for a little while, I'm like, it's been all uphill to get here, and well, the uphill's not going to stop. Man, the wind feels good up here. So all these bushes you see down here, these are my favorite. These are blueberry bushes. And they're a long way from being ripe, but you know that they're up here. Great view of the Hudson out there. Okay, so I've got camp set up again, and I am hungry. It is probably close to 6:30, 7 o'clock. All I've eaten today are two protein bars. That's it. Drank a lot of water though. So I'm gonna do some dinner. I think I've got the coconut curry chicken from Peak Refuel, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. So while we're cooking dinner for the day, I did just under 15 miles. So good day of hiking. It looks like we got water coming to a boil. So one of the things I said we would talk about was gear. So I do have some new gear on this trip. I've got a new hammock. So I'm testing out a new hammock. May show it to you, give you a little look around. Maybe tomorrow after I sleep in it, we'll talk a little bit about it. Let's see, what else? I'm back to using my Light AF pack, a little bit lighter quilts, and I've got some coffee, some new coffee to try in the morning. So Rain Man sent me some coffee. Someone local to him has been brewing up. They roast up some bourbon barrel aged coffee beans, but they've also come up with these tins of, I think it's 10, either there's 6 or 10 packets of dissolvable packets. So there's no waste, there's no nothing. You just throw it in, it dissolves, it makes a cup of coffee. So we'll see how that is in the morning. Oh, and I wanted to talk about, I know that I kind of left it hanging. I did the video about being scammed on Facebook Marketplace and Cash App, and that I put in a dispute, and I was waiting for a resolution on that. Well, Cash App said, we don't see anything wrong with this transaction. I said, is there anyone I can appeal this to? Is there anyone I can talk to? And they said, this case is closed. So there you go. I'm out the $300. No resolution there, no new tent. But I do need, so for one of the trips that I'm doing, we will be in a tent, or will we be in tents. So I do need a lighter sleeping pad than my X-Ped. So that X-Ped is great in the winter. When there's snow on the ground, that thing is super warm, it's comfortable. But I need something kind of more 3-season. So something like a Nemo Tensor or Big Agnes. They've got several. I want one that's still, 3 to 4 inches thick, so it's pretty comfortable. I can side sleep on it, roll around, and I still think I want the long wide, but I could probably be swayed away from that just for weight savings. I don't know. But really, I'm looking at it primarily for one trip this year, so we'll see. Good morning. It is a chilly, foggy morning this morning, but that is perfect for hiking. I mean, if it burns off, the views will will come, but the temperature is just going to be awesome for hiking. But before we get to that, we definitely have to do some coffee. So I'd mentioned that I was doing some testing of some new coffee. This is the OK Bourbon Brew Sip Smoke. It's from the Coracle Coffee Group out of Tulsa, and this one is a bourbon barrel aged instant coffee Sumatra. When you open it up, what you've got in here are these packets. And so you boil up or you heat up your water, and 6 to 8 ounces per, drop this in, and the whole thing dissolves. So the packet itself dissolves, the coffee inside dissolves, it's an instant crystal, and then you've got yourself some coffee. So we're gonna see how this works. Okay, we've got our water, it's hot. So we're just gonna drop this in. Let's see how this works. I'm gonna give it a little stir here. Oh, you can see the packet just kind of fell apart. Keep getting some, as I pick it up, there's definitely some undissolved stuff in there. So I'm going to stir it up, let it sit for a minute or so. I need that to get it down to drinking temperature anyway. I'll let you know how it comes out. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see how how it tastes. So it's got almost like a perfumey, and that may be the wrong way to say it, because of that bourbon barrel age that it's got on it. It has definitely like an aromatic. You can absolutely smell the bourbon sweetness to it, and it almost smells, yeah, vaguely perfumey. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. I mean, it's an instant coffee. Instant coffees are never great. But it's doable. It's definitely doable, just as a black coffee. Yeah, not bad. I'm going to finish it, that's for sure. I finished my cup of coffee. The last sip, not good. And in the bottom of my pot, you probably can't see it, but there's like a slimy film, and they're almost like little globs of slime that had coagulated together. And I think what that is the dissolvable packet. I don't think it fully dissolved. I think that it became like this gelatinous goo that sat at the bottom. And so the last sip, I got it in my mouth, and it grossed me out. I had to spit it out. So this coffee's good down to the last sip, but then you've also got this like weird residue at the bottom of your cup, the bottom of your, in my case, pot, that you're gonna have to figure out how to clean out. Yesterday I mentioned that I would show you guys the hammock that I'm testing out. So we'll do that, but first, I noticed as I was putting my tarp away this morning that my hammock gear snakeskin, which is probably close to 10 years old now, is starting to give up on me. The seams are starting to come apart. And really, for this tarp that I'm using it for, the Winter Palace from Hammock Gear, it's actually a little bit too small. It's a little bit too snug. Pulling it over, you know, most of my snake skins that I've got just slide right over the tarps that I'm using them with. This one doesn't. I've really got to pull it pretty hard, and I think that's why this is happening, is that it is, you know, rubbing on that continuous ridge line, and just the force that I'm pulling with has broken the threads on there, and so it's coming apart. I don't think it's anything to do with the actual thing. Plus, it's 10 years old. It's, you know, bug net material, so no big deal there. I definitely have gotten my money's worth out of it. But let's talk about the hammock. So here is the hammock that I'm testing, that I've been using last night, and I've gotten it out for a couple of quick jaunts. But this is it right here. right now you can see it is a bridge hammock, and I am using the Ridge Reaper on there, which I also use with the Banyan. So it has been used with all 3 of the bridges that are this type of configuration. So this is the Townsend Just a Bridge, and it's kind of in development phase right now. It's in a testing phase. Bill has been testing this specific design for several years now. He's been sleeping in it quite a bit, but I just got my hands on it and am out doing a little bit of testing. And right now I've got it with the bug net on it, and this is the zippered bug net. That it's just kind of like a it's kind of a cool design though, because it's got a ground sheet almost underneath, so you could take it to ground. Also, it does serve as a nice wind block on the bottom. You can kind of cinch it up a little bit and get it where it needs to be. But right now I can feel a little bit of rain coming down on me, just the smallest amount. And rather than getting all my stuff wet, I'm going to go ahead and pack this up. And then tonight when we set up, we'll talk a little bit more. All right, I'm on the trail, and I've got my rain jacket on this morning because it is kind of coming down a little bit right now. It's not bad, but it's just enough that it's in the 50s right now. I don't want to get too wet too early. I know I'll get wet from sweat, but all right, let's see what today brings. The downside to being out here solo is that you get all the spider webs all day long. They're actually not as bad this morning as they were yesterday evening, but still, gotta love spider webs. So right now I'm headed down a side trail. It says in 4/10 of a mile there's a spring down here, and since I don't have a ton of water right now, and there's no other water along the trail for quite a while. Well, there's no water along the trail. You've got to take side trails to get to any water. Move down, see if there's actually water here. If there's not, I'm gonna have to take a look at the map and figure out what I want to do for the day. You know, water's kind of a big deal. You know, drinking water, especially when it's warm out. Right now, you know, it's just raining and in the 50s, so it's not a huge deal. But it is. This afternoon is supposed to get up into the upper 70s and be sunny, and you know, being up exposed, no water, not a recipe for a fun day. So let's go see if there's water down here. So this is good. Came down, it's actually a pretty steep descent down to get down here, but then I found this pipe spring right here. So it's not flowing super fast, but it's definitely enough water to fill up my bottles, and it's a spot that I know once I go up Arizona and over Blackhead, when I come back, there's a spot here. Yeah, it's a bit of a descent down here and then a climb out, but it's water, and water's important. With it being as damp as it is out today, you got to kind of pay attention to chafing. And when you start feeling it, get out the body glide, apply liberally, and you'll be happy you did. So as I'm taking a little bit of a break right here, one of the things I have to keep in mind is that as far as I push out today, I have to come back. So all this extremely steep stuff I just came up, I've got to go down. Fortunately, it seems to have stopped raining. It's still a little bit foggy. It's still a little bit damp out here. Makes for some slippery conditions, so you've got to really watch your footing while going downhill. One of the things I had mentioned yesterday when we started this was that I had some trips planned. So figure while we're stopped right here, I'd tell you guys a little bit about the trips that I've got planned. So I've got two cool trips in the works right now. Both of them I already have like permits for and everything, so all good there. So next week I'm headed out to California, and I'm going to be doing just figured while I was there, go hit Yosemite. I'm not doing the normal. I'm not doing the valley or even Tuolumne Meadows, Half Dome, Clouds Rest, any of that stuff. I'm actually going to the south side of the park to the Wawona area. Down there's a mix of like redwoods and some granite and some nice alpine lakes. And so plan is to go hit like a waterfall, go camp at a lake, spend the weekend out there kind of exploring, maybe do a little bit of climbing. We'll see. And then in September, Rain Man, Greg, and I, possibly Sean, we're not sure right now, are going to the Grand Canyon, doing rim to rim to rim, and be a good time. So we've got permits for that, and that's the one that I was mentioning that I'm going to need a sleeping pad for, because I don't want to carry my heavy one going down and up the Grand Canyon. So having just walked through these blueberry bushes, I will say there's a lot of water on them. And so my feet are drenched just because, you know, brushing up against them, coming down the trail right here, it all kind of got on me. I mean, I'm wet to begin with, but it made me think about, you know, if you're out in an area where there's not a lot of water, but you get up into the clouds like this and it's on everything, or it's been raining and everything's wet, you could take something like a pack towel or a bandana and run it over all these bushes. I mean, they are, if you look, I mean, they're just covered in water. There's water droplets all over it. But if you were running a bandana, pack towel, something like that would absorb it. Then you can wring it out into your water bag, your dirty water bag. Keep doing that and then filter it, and you've got water. So even though there's no water source around, on a day like today, there's definitely ways to get water. All right, so I went up to Blackhead and got up to Arizona, couldn't see anything, it started raining, climbed up to Blackhead, extremely steep, hard, tough climb that last, I don't know, half mile, 3/4 of a mile. Now I've come back down, it's still raining, it's raining right now. You know, at this point, it's a little afternoon. I think that it was supposed to have cleared up by now. It hasn't, so it is what it is. I'm not exactly sure what my plans for the rest of the day are, but I know right now my plans are to get some lunch. So I've got pot on with some water, and I'm gonna be doing some outdoor pantry, the beef and lamb gyro with tzatziki sauce. Super good, super fresh. One of the ones that's kind of a go-to for me. It's kind of become a favorite. So I'm gonna sit here, eat this, warm up, and then it's a big climb from here. Well, that was a first, and hopefully last time that ever happens. So coming down the trail, and I see a group coming towards me, probably 7 or 8 people, and they've got a dog. The dog's not on a leash. Looks like an Australian Shepherd, something along those lines, a herding dog. I step off the side, and the dog didn't like that and came after me and bit my leg. Fortunately, it just barely nipped me, so it didn't actually draw blood or anything. And I was able to kick it off of me, and the guy grabbed it. But not cool. If you're gonna be out on the trail with your dog, have it on a leash or have it trained, or make sure it's not aggressive. I knew when I turned around on Blackhead that I was going to be hiking out today. You know, and towards the end, probably for the last 2 miles, it has stopped raining. I've been out of the clouds, and so it's warmed up a little bit. It's not as bad, but I showed some of the rocks, some of the scrambles they had to come down, and they were just wet and slippery, and there were a few times I slipped and slid, and you know, being out here by myself, I think it's just bailing. I don't even want to call it bailing. I got in a good amount of work today. I got in a good amount of work over this weekend. Really, I got in what I wanted to do. I got out here. I got to hit sections of the Escarpment Trail that had the great views that I hadn't seen before, and I got in some good climbing and some good work, and definitely put some miles on the legs. Leaving here with just under 30 miles for the 2 days, and I'm pretty happy with that. I am definitely happy with that. Over 10,000 feet of climbing. I'll have to check what the numbers actually are when we get back to the Jeep, and I'll let you know. All right, so back at the Jeep, finished up the hike, took a look, and like I said, I was just shy of 30 miles, and it was just over 12,000 feet of elevation gain and loss for this day, or for this weekend. So I got in some good work. Definitely got in some good work. These mountains out here are tough. They are no joke, but they're a great place to come and get me in shape. So I will be back, but next weekend, Yosemite. So looking forward to that. Make sure you guys check that out. I will see you guys down the trail. Some of these are not easy climbs to be doing over and over again, and then you end up busting your ass.